I've seen quite a number of instances where an incremental load in Qlik was barely more than fetching the data from the database in what can be called an incremental manner. Basically, a where clause in the SQL statement which extracts a limited amount of data and which is then appended to a QVD. Typically, one that gets larger and larger. Since this QVD is one big data file, all subsequent transformation processes have to go through the whole dataset to produce the final product. Hence, even though some of the data is historical and unchanged from the previous day, all of the corresponding fields need to be recalculated or retransforms since there is only one QD file. This process makes ETL processes unnecessarily long because the whole dataset needs to be loaded and transformed rather than the portion of data that is new, the incremental change data capture part of the data. The change data capture strategy I elaborate upon in this video is a process that will minimize the amount of time the QD takes to get stored and also minimize the subsequent ETL processes to get to the final dataset that is required for the front-end application and analysis. Here I show the incremental ETL I have so often witnessed. Fetch the change data from the database, append it to an existing QVD, resulting in an ever-growing QVD which can in some instances I have seen take up to 20 to 25 minutes to write to disk. The change data capture strategy I want to elaborate on is still fetching the data incrementally and then writing out a year-month QVD based on a date timestamp, hopefully one that is akin to the last modified date for that record, hence ending up with a whole set of QVDs of year-month, which is the data stored in a year-month format. The key to the logic of this whole strategy is identifying a primary key in the source database data and a datetime field upon which the year-month QVD slices will be based on. This will minimize the QVD store time because the QVD store time will max out in any given month on the last day of the month. Then for the next month, the QVD store time will drop and build up to a new maximum for that month. Then the month after that, it'll drop again. Each subsequent transformation layer can follow this year-month QVD logic format, thereby ensuring the full ETL takes a minimum amount of time to complete, irrespective of the amount of transformations that you're going through. Then, if you have ensured that you have ordered the data reverse chronologically in the QVDs, you can use the where not exists primary key to reverse chronologically load all of the QVDs. Hence, if there are any duplicates of that primary key, Qlik will only load the latest record of it. And naturally, since the where not exist is based on one field only, the loading will be optimized and execute very quickly. This is the essence of an optimized change data capture strategy with Qlik and leveraging its bulk optimized insert for speeding up your ETL process. I've included a few subs that can be used in this process and that might help you quickly set up this sort of data flow architecture. I will now quickly review the subs that you can use and which are included in this QVS file that I'm making available to you. The first one is a full load of an Oracle table. The parameters that you have to pass through into this sub are the connection, the lib connection to the database, the DB owner or the DB schema for Oracle, since this was built for Oracle, the DB table, and a where clause also that you can fit in. The where clause in this case has to start with where and then afterwards continue with all the clauses that you have thereafter for restricting any data that you want. The fully automated incremental load portion of this script, which is in a sub, is pretty much similar to what you have above. Yeah, you have to state the DB connection, the DB owner, the DB table, the where clause, but in this case, the where clause has to start with an and, the primary key, the par date time field, and also one last instance, which is a yes or no as a par DB table fields checker. What this does, this portion, if you state yes, the script will automatically go into the Oracle database and see if there's any change in structure of the source database table. If there are fields that are added or taken away from this table between the last time you've loaded data and the first and the time that you are loading the data at this time, then it will go and rebuild all the QVDs, including or excluding those fields that have changed in the source database table. If you don't want to do this, then you can put it no. However, I would suggest to put in yes, because if that is the case, then you can do a load star from star, and you know that the tables in Qlik will auto-concatenate one on top of the other. The next two subs are used once you have created your year-month slices of QVDs. The first one is the QVD files names list, which goes into that target folder that you've named with a par QVD name prefix for each one of the files that you have. So let's say I have a test underscore 2021-05 and test underscore 2021-04 for May and April of 2021. Yeah. If it follows that structure, then you give the QVD name prefix and you also state the amount of months of data that you want to load into that. So let's say if I want to get the last 6 months of data, I can put in 6. If I want to just get the last month of data, I can put in 1. If I want to get all of the data that is in there, typically what I do is I put in 999 for this par load last n files. The next related sub is the QD file names load. And what it does is that it does the same thing as the QD file names list. The only thing is that this time it actually loads the data inside that QVD. So I can state my QVD target folder, the par QVD name prefix of the year month QVDs, the amount of months that I want to load the data, and also optionally, I can put in a sub where I only call for certain amount of fields inside that QVD. If I leave this blank, yeah, what the script will do is automatically go load star for all of them. Just to give you an example of how I can use this QD file names load and only call for a couple of fields using a sub, I give right here. It's also available in the script comments that you can consult whenever you want to at a later date. So in this case, I'm going into this library and fetching all the SBI extract FC user group QVDs, only getting in the last month, so number 1, and basically I'm encapsulating also another user group temp. And what this user group temp does is that it only loads 2 fields inside those QVDs. So I put that inside a sub, call the name of the sub, which I call here as the last parameter, yeah. And in the from part, I have to make sure that I include the variable, and it's always the case that this has to be used in this kind of instance. I put in $vqd file names list, yeah, because it actually originates from the qd file names list sub that I've shown before. The last sub that I've included in here is the QVD create YM slices from QVD. So let's say, for example, if you are sitting in this scenario where you have one big QVD and you want to create small little QVD slices to be able to start off this whole strategy and use all the other subs, there's one sub in here to be able to do that. And all you need to do is go, well, what is the parse source QVD folder and the QVD file? So the big one, this big one. And then state the par target folder where you want to write all the year month slices, and also give the date time field name to create these year month slices. Even though you might not use the subs, I hope that this little presentation has helped you in understanding the essence of an optimized change data capture strategy with Qlik, and how also one can leverage the bulk optimized insert, that means this where not exists or where exists, to be able to go through and get your data as quickly as possible in a true incremental change data capture strategy that goes from the beginning to all the way to the end. Please leave your own comments. Thank you very much for your time.